designing this house of friendship and hope. So if we are to bring people through there and to conceptualize it, what would you say about how friendship has to be cultivated in a way that would allow people to recognize each other?
Well, if I may say, maybe we have been speaking of friendship up to now, but the second term of your program is very important, hope. Because I feel again this word has the risk of being empty, an empty word now. Nobody hopes and nobody knows what is hope.
Yeah, they're just optimistic.
Yes, yes.
Right, yeah,
or they do not know what to hope for, or who can we rely on for some more hope. While linking hope and friendship with a spiritual and interreligious perspective, I think gives some concrete, serious approach and gives the added value of hope in life and of friendship for a believer.
So what is it that one should be hoping for?
Well, one should, if I may say, according again to the Islamic tradition, one should hope that God will not forget him. While as we were mentioning at the beginning, our mistake is that we are forgetting God. But we are never afraid, taqwa, that God will forget us because we are such a disaster that we do not we are not anymore under the spiritual influence of his communication. It's not a question of being Islamophobic. We should be afraid that the patience of God ends. And because we are so stubborn in our foolish, empty lives, as you say, without God, that our stubbornness is even risks to be more strong than God's patience.
So what you're saying about hope is the same thing we said about friendship. In other words, that ultimate friendship has God as its reference, and ultimate hope has God as its reference.
There is no hope and no friendship without God. No possibility. I mean, for a believer, any believer, I think, but according to the Islamic perspective, the one can be in true desperation if God has lost his hope on mankind.
You know, the term hope for us actually is an acronym. It stands for House of Prayer and Education.
Oh.
No, it's also hope. It's also
Okay.
hope, but it's House of Prayer and Education, which then makes me wonder, to what extent would Muslims be open or would Muslims be afraid to be exposed to the prayer experience of other faiths? Because we're talking about growing, remembering God, cultivating friendship, cultivating hope. All these things are cultivated through prayer. Do you think Muslims are, or should be, or should not be afraid of exposure to the depth of the prayer experience of another faith?
But again, they might be afraid, but they are afraid not with a reason. They are afraid for ignorance. So it's good that you also add in hope education, because the education to prayer is a very important methodology, which means that maybe discovering how my brother or my sister Jew is praying and worshiping our same God in a different way, it helps me and it inspires my prayer as well. While the ignorance of the other in his prayer brings not a mystery, but actually a prejudice.
A suspicion.
A suspicion.
Has this been your experience, to be inspired by the prayer of another faith?
Yes, definitely.
How
Definitely.
so? Where?
Well, I would say meetings, masters, or seeing funerals or prayers from different communities worldwide has always been, if I may say, a moment of a very, even I would say, even an emotional impact, because it coming especially from the West, at least in the East, I feel that persons have still kept an instinct to go towards God in a ritual way. I mean, you don't have to go very far. In Greece, for instance, some Orthodox Christians, when they drive you through the island and they pass in front of a church, they greet and pay respect to this place by making their sign of the cross. And this is something which is quite normal for them, but this is a symbolic ritual moment of prayer that at the end teaches us the connection with the divine, as you was mentioning.
So here's the thought that comes to me as I listen to you. What these Christians have is a sense of the holy.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about crisis in Judaism and crisis in Islam. We've been talking about the crisis about true God knowledge. Certainly in the case of Judaism and also in the case of Islam. Would you say that there's a crisis of the sense of the holy, that there's a practice of religion, but without the sense of the holy?
Yes, this is the sign of the main decadence of religions, maybe of Islam. That's why I was insisting in a literalistic, dogmatic, or bigot interpretation of religion, because the spirit, the presence of the sacred, of holiness, is forgotten. So I'm becoming an expert of religion, but in order to have the encyclopedia of doctrine here, or I'm fed up of doctrine and I'm just having an emotional approach to religion. But religion is at the end and at the beginning a discipline of holiness. And so if we do not follow this grammar, which is a universal grammar that is present in different ways in all languages of religious doctrines, we are missing the identity and the orientation of a religion. So
you've inspired me in a beautiful way, and I tell you how. Because we're thinking of this institution, the House of Friendship and Hope, under the shadow of a holy man, right? A saint. A saint is a holy man. Someone who lives holiness, who lives divinity. And it's a reminder that if we want to cultivate friendship, if we want to cultivate prayer, if we want to cultivate hope, ultimately what we need to do is a recovery, a discovery, and a mutual inspiration through the sense of the holy as practiced by the finest of our religions. And that's what we're hoping to achieve.
May God bless you for this great project.
May you be part of that blessing.
I'm your friend. So.
You're a holy man.